everyone, and welcome back to Exposing SMG. It's that time of the year. Prince Harry is releasing his memoir, or as I like to call it, Moanmoir. Ghostwritten by author J.R. Moringer, and unofficially ghostwritten by his wife of destruction, Meghan Markle. I say unofficially because it's not something that's a fact, but it's pretty obvious, especially when you realize that it's written in such a girly and vindictive way. Mainly toward Prince William and Kate Middleton, people who aren't only Harry's family, but once upon a time, his best friends. Until of course the Queen of Destruction came along and ruined everything in her path. The hate that this book spews toward the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Kate, is shocking, and Harry's resentment and personal issues need to be healed within an institution, not a book deal. Which is funny since he cries about the institution, when this man makes me feel like he needs to be literally institutionalized for what he wrote in this book. Anyway, this video will be one out of many covering Spare the Moanmoir if you enjoy this video, so let me know because it will encourage me to make more. Like and subscribe for more content each week and follow us on our social media. Let's begin. Number 1. Harry claims that William and Kate made him wear the Nazi outfit that he suffered a big scandal from. It's bad enough that this man-child wore a Nazi outfit to begin with, but now 20 years after the scandal, he wants to blame it on big brother and sister-in-law? Is there no such thing as accountability? The picture was taken at a costume party with a native and colonial theme, where William was also a guest and was dressed in a homemade lion outfit. Yes, William came dressed up as a lion, but Harry claims that he picked out the Nazi outfit for him. Why didn't William wear one too so they can twin? Oh right, he doesn't have worms for brains like our favorite Spare. Harry writes, I phoned Willie and Kate, asked what they thought. Nazi uniform, they said. Harry writes, adding that when he went home and tried it on for them, they both howled. Worse than Willie's leotard outfit, way more ridiculous, which again was the point. He called them to ask them what they think? Think about what? Was the outfit already pre-chosen, or did they choose it for him? It doesn't make sense. Or did they find it funny and Harry took that as a, yes, dress up as a Nazi? Or is it the obvious? He just wants a reason to blame someone else for his own able-bodied and conscious actions. What about when he was offended that anyone would dare think he was dating a black woman because Chelsea, his ex, was from Zimbabwe, saying, she's not black or anything, you know, just in case we thought she was. He has a long and problematic racist past, and now a new beginning of no accountability. Harry said that the outfit was one of the biggest mistakes in my life, so him throwing blame on his brother and Catherine actually invalidates his apology. Robert Lacey already recalls the story in his 2020 book, Battle of Brothers, where he said that Harry has grown resentful of how he had to burden himself with the media backlash, even though William was supposedly involved in the scandal. So not only does Harry's retelling of the story give credibility to the royal biographers whom they called liars on Netflix to discredit them, but he's just reheating tea we had already heard elsewhere. Number 2. Harry defends Meghan for telling Kate she has baby brain just weeks after giving birth to Prince Louis. Now this story is extremely off-putting and disrespectful, but at least it gives us insight into how whipped and spineless Harry is. Just like Harry confirmed that Meghan was indeed bullying staff by provoking William to go talk to Harry about her behavior, and I covered that in one of my previous videos, he also confirmed that Meghan told Kate that she must be suffering from baby brain because of her hormones. That is such a disrespectful and tone-deaf comment to make to someone who just gave birth. And if a man made it, the world would be in shambles. It's also the equivalence of assuming a woman being angry has to do with her being on her period, and essentially is degrading and invalidating the woman's feelings, telling her that she has no reason to be upset. Oh, it's just because of hormones. Oh, it's just because you're PMSing. And it's a common issue in the American work field. So Meghan can't even use the, oh, the Brits are sensitive excuse from her book of excuses. And coming from someone who just had a podcast about women being put down because of the archetypes they're boxed into, she surely had no problem degrading the future Queen of England, whom she's not close to. Harry writes that Meghan didn't expect Kate to be so hurt when Meghan suggested Kate had baby brain when she said she forgot something inconsequential, and that Meghan was confused by Kate's harsh reaction as that was how she talked with her friends. If my friend spoke like that to me and invalidated my feelings by making a disrespectful comment, we wouldn't be friends. And Harry wrote that Kate supposedly told Meghan, you talked about my hormones, we are not close enough for you to talk about my hormones. And he described that Kate, being offended, gripped her chair so tightly that her fingers turned white. and he writes that as if to show aggressive behavior, even though knuckles turning white were something that Meghan and Harry used to victimize themselves some more, both on Oprah and on Netflix. But they are not logical beings. Harry wrote that St. Meghan said, "I'm sorry I talked about your hormones, that's just how I talk with my girlfriends." William was angry with the situation, allegedly pointing at Meghan and saying, "It's rude, Meghan, it's not what's done here in Britain." To which Meghan told William, "Take your finger out of my face." Oh my god. Is Harry aware that he's exposing his wife's disrespectful manners? First of all, you can't insult someone and be like, "Well, that's just how I talk to my friends." You can't be an asshole and be like, "What, we're not family?" Especially when you're not and you know that. If someone accused Meghan of being incompetent and forgetful because she just gave birth, we'd probably see, 3 new TV shows about it, 4 magazine covers, 16 new tell-all interviews, and maybe a whole podcast too. Why? Because that's what she did when someone described her bullying as rude. Kate has a right to be mad and offended at a comment made complaining about her, and Harry has no business invalidating Kate's feelings while caressing and anchoring his wife's vile behavior. And William's actions are a completely justified response from a husband defending his wife who had just recently given birth. He didn't say anything wrong, and he was actually quite professional and mature with it. Is this Meghan's definition of her trying to fit in with the family and doing everything I could? Save me the vomit. But alas, it gets worse. Number 3. Harry recalls William's balding alarming and advanced, and his resemblance to their mother Diana fading. When I first read this, I was in shock. During an argument between Harry and William that got so heated, their father, King Charles, begged them not to make his final years a misery. Harry writes that something inside him shifted. "I looked at William, maybe for the first time since we were boys, and observed his alarming baldness, calling William's hair loss advanced, way more than his own." Harry also suggested that William's resemblance to their late mother, Princess Diana, was fading with time. This makes no one else look bad except Harry, because not only is he attacking his brother's looks, but it shows how jealous he is that William resembles Diana a lot, whilst Harry was the odd one out with his red beard and similarities to James Hewitt, a former British officer whom Diana had an affair with. And first of all, Harry is balding as well, but it seems like Meghan has him on Hollywood hair plugs or something, because his balding hair keeps on magically growing back. Second of all, balding is a hereditary trait that is passed down from both sides of the family, being more dominant or recessive depending on the situation. Now you're listening to someone who has a degree in molecular biology and intensively studied genetics. It's not alarming, especially if there are no other health-related issues. Also, Harry should be careful of his words since, like I just said, it's genetic, so Archie may have the gene. And the word that Harry's looking for is bitterness and jealousy. Number 4. Harry reveals that both he and William are circumcised. In an effort to call the media liars for saying that William and Harry weren't circumcised, he let it all hang and spare as he wrote, "There were countless stories in books and papers, even the New York Times, about Willie and me not being circumcised. Mummy had forbidden it, they all said, and while it's absolutely true that the chance of getting penile frostbite is much greater if you're not circumcised, all the stories were false. I was sniffed as a baby." He also added that not only did he get frostbite in his ears and cheeks, but also down there at a dinner prior to William and Catherine's 2011 wedding, and claims that he was still recovering from his injuries at their wedding. You know what I should call this segment? A hypocritical prince cries about privacy while unveiling extremely private details no one asked for. Does he want us to send William and Catherine hate for making Harry the best man while he was injured? Give me a break. Number 5. Harry cries about wedding seat arrangements. I had to reread this part a few times because I couldn't believe what I was reading. Harry claimed that William and Kate changed seats at the lunchtime reception of his wedding, and then complained about where he and Meghan were seated at Pippa Middleton's wedding. So apparently it's a British tradition for the bride and groom to ask couples not to sit together in order to encourage guests to mingle, which is a tradition I didn't realize happening until I started going to big social events myself. Anyway, Meghan wanted it her way for her reception, where couples do sit together. And later on during the reception, Harry writes that William and Kate's table was the only one that failed to follow their rule, and that William and Kate changed the place cards at the last minute in order to ensue spouses were seated separately at the table. This brought up Harry being resentful at Pippa Middleton's wedding, where they had the British tradition in place, and complained that Meghan was seated at the opposite side of the table and poor Harry was forced to look at her through a large flower arrangement. Oh my god, the entitlement and delusion truly are incredible. I'm pretty sure William and Kate didn't go around changing place cards around the reception, they simply moved on their table to mingle with other guests. And it's a wedding, not a government exam where you're glued to your seat. And I'm pretty sure other guests at the reception did that as well. I've had the great pleasure of attending all sorts of weddings from different backgrounds and cultures, and many people have separate weddings or men on one side, women on the other, and on every occasion everyone eventually mingled or changed seats as the wedding progressed. It's not that serious, and the fact that it was his wedding day, yet he was focused on where William and Kate were sitting and what they were doing, tells me a lot. You can't seat a bunch of people together who do things one way and get mad that they didn't adhere to your random seating arrangement, especially when at Pippa's wedding it was Meghan versus the majority of people. You can't put a bunch of Brits together and tell them, hey guys, here's an American tradition you have to follow. Of course, this was probably Meghan complaining through him, and him moaning about where he had to sit at Pippa's wedding is just, like, be serious for once. It's a shame that Meghan was even invited, and she claimed in Finding Freedom that they didn't want her there because they feared that Meghan would overshadow the event. The narcissism jumped out. I barely covered the royals back then, and I knew that Pippa's wedding took place, and I actually just found out that Meghan was there today. She was irrelevant then, and she's only relevant now because of her and Harry talking their families. Any project that doesn't spew hate flops. Look at Live to Lead. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you want me to keep covering Spare. Like and subscribe for more videos each week, follow us on our social media, and as always, I'll see you next time.